My family intentionally traumatized me on my birthday. Growing up, I didn't really have anything or anyone. You see, my family was Hispanic and extremely broke, so all their time was either spent with their mouths on each other's hookahs or working. So when I started getting bullied in high school, I tried to tell myself that I didn't care, that it wasn't worth dwelling on. But as you can imagine, my methods fell short. And by the time I turned 15, I not only had zero friends, but the entire school knew I was a complete loser. So I finally caved. I called my cousin Daniel, bawling my eyes out. It was the kind of crying that makes your throat hurt and your head pound. I truly believed I was inconsolable, but somehow through the tears, he made me laugh. It was the first time in my life I had ever actually felt listened to, and I was hooked. We called practically every day that month, and it was mostly just me yapping while he listened. And because Daniel was 19, he actually gave me good advice. My grades started improving, I started caring about myself again, and I stopped eating in the bathroom stall and started sitting right in the open, even if it was all by myself. I had no idea how dark things were about to get, because that's when it was time to celebrate my 16th birthday. My mom insisted on inviting the entire family. I don't really care about birthdays, but I was excited to see Daniel and receive gifts. So when the day came, I actually made an effort, wore a cute little dress, did my makeup, even wore heels. And after answering 100 "do you have a boyfriend yet" questions, finally came the best part, the cake. It was a beautiful chocolate tres leches, and after I blew out the candles, Daniel came over and hugged me. When I saw him, I felt my face completely light up. Looking back, I should have known from the smell of alcohol on his breath that things were about to go south, but it started so subtly. "Daniel!" I yelled, and in response he gave me a huge hug. I noticed it lasted longer than I thought it would, with his hands wrapped around my waist, but he was drunk as hell, so I just brushed it off. I was probably just being sensitive, right? But as the night progressed, I found myself mentally repeating that phrase over and over. Every time he found excuses to stand close enough that I could feel the heat of him against my arm. Every time his fingers would brush my leg under the table and he'd pretend it was an accident. But then his excuses ran out. I had gone to grab a sweater from my bedroom. I didn't even have time to shut the door before he was there, pressing into the frame like he owned the place, like I owed him something for breathing the same air. He trapped me against the wall with his body, close enough I could smell the tobacco on his breath. I froze. Every survival instinct I had screamed not to move, not to fight, because if I made it worse, if I made a scene, somehow it would be my fault. But that's when his lips pressed against mine, and his hands traveled down my back. My survival instinct kicked in, and I screamed like a banshee, before kicking him right in the nards. As he stumbled backwards, I ran out and immediately dragged my mom outside to tell her what happened. I expected her to get mad, say that wasn't right, give me a hug, anything. But instead, she just sighed and pinched the bridge of her nose. "Honey, you're a woman now. These things happen," she said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. My mouth filled with saliva as my stomach twisted. Soon, I was vomiting back out the tres leches into the toilet bowl. And that's how I spent my 16th birthday curled up on the cold bathroom floor with the door locked. I only came out when I heard Daniel's voice saying goodbye. By that point, it was 2 a.m., so I just went to sleep, or tried to, anyway. The moment was replaying in my head so much that I could barely relax. I don't know why I brought it up to my mom again the next morning, but I did. And this time, she told me something even worse. Apparently, Daniel's sister was about to give birth, so he was going to move in with us soon to make room for the baby. And I guess she saw the shock on my face, because that's when she reminded me that the best thing to do is let it go and not to hold a grudge. I nodded and agreed with her. Not because I wasn't infuriated, I was. Not because I wasn't completely distraught, I most certainly was. But the night it happened, as I lay awake in bed, I realized there was only one thing that would bring me joy: seeing him suffer. And by living with him, that was going to become 10 times easier. The full story where OP makes Daniel's life hell is on my channel and linked below.